Alright, on today's to-do list, we got a couple things we're going to knock out. We got a CRF 250 engine we got to put back together. I'm going to try and do a little bit of work on the race boat. Got a panel inside of here. I don't know how well you can see it. It's again a little soft. So we're going to make sure we get this nice and dried out and put some epoxy on there. Make sure that takes care of that. And then up on this other side here where the water outlet is. Yeah. There's a boat coming back down still, but where this water outlet is, there's a little bit of soft wood right around there, so we're gonna seal that up with some epoxy as well. Do the best we can. Hanging out with Goblin today, so he's gonna help me put that dirt bike engine together. Hopefully he doesn't start throwing parts all over the place. But we're gonna get some stuff done today.
Who's that?
It's you. It's a camera.
Who's that?
That's you. Who you?
It's me talking to me?
Yeah.
Why do you have two Brennans? I don't know why you have two Brennans. I don't know why you have two Brennans.
Yeah. He decided he wanted a red Bronco instead of a black Bronco yesterday, so we got him doing some body work. You gonna help me put this engine together? Right on. Yeah. Alright, just make sure you put it back where you got it from, okay? But yeah, this is a 14 CRF 250R. Buddy bought it as a project. Needed a little more work than we thought. Unfortunately, when I was putting it together, I forgot a thrust washer on one of the transmission shafts. So I need to split the cases back apart. I got a new gasket for that, and we will get this thing sorted out. Alright, so we're back working on this boat a little bit here today. Had a soft spot right here where the wood was starting to rot a little bit around our water outlet. So I just took a Dremel bit and a drill and just hit along the edges here until it just started hitting solid wood again. So what I'm going to do is take a fiberglass patch, put that underneath the bottom of it, so we got a nice flat surface there, and kind of fill it in with a little bit of fiberglass and a little bit of glue. And we'll see how that works out. If not, I'll have to cut out a little bigger square there and actually replace it with some new wood. But hoping we can just kind of make a little patch for that for right now. This is a little soft here. We're probably going to do something with that too. But we're getting through it right now. On this other side here, unfortunately, when the boat tilts up, it tilts like this. So all the water collects down on this side here. So that was a little, starting to get a little soft in there as well. So we went ahead and I kind of dried it out real good and put a little resin over it. So hopefully that'll water seal that all back up again. And we got that CRF engine back together. We are knocking out some of the projects today. But hopefully this will keep going smoothly on this boat. We got the engine apart. This is what I did to start a patch here. I just put a little blue tape down and 3 pieces of fiberglass with some resin. So we'll see how this comes up. Hopefully that's gonna, I was planning on using that as the backing here for our little patch in this boat hole here. Alright, so I just kind of cut the excess crap off the side of this. What we're going to do is go ahead and epoxy that in like that, and then we'll just put a little bit of resin and some filler in there. Maybe mix a little bit of that chopped matte fiberglass in there with that, and hopefully make that nice and strong, and then we'll just re-drill our hole for this fitting here, which is our water outlet. Sticks like that. That cap comes off, and that's our water outlet for when the boat's running. Tip: if you're cheap and lazy and freaking doing a bunch of small fiberglass stuff, get you a thing of paper bowls and plastic knives, and you got a perfect little mixing container there for mixing up a little bit of fiberglass. Alright, fiberglass resin. I did find that the best thing to do is to do it by weight. I'm still very terrible at fiberglass work, but I've gotten a lot better with the ratio of glue. If you do a 1-to-10 ratio and do it by weight, it seems to work out pretty well. Little digital scale you can get at the gas stations works perfectly. Alright, so we got our little fiberglass backing plate glued in there. That's setting up there with a little bit of resin. Hopefully that'll stick decently. It's really just something to kind of act as a back plate to go ahead and fill the rest of that in a little bit. Again, we got to cut a 3/4 inch hole or so in there, so it'll be a little bit ugly, but we'll get some touch up for the yellow, and be good as new by the time we're done with this, I hope. You got a first layer of some chop strand in there with some filler and West System epoxy. Gonna have to clean that up when it gets good and dry, and then we'll put another couple coats in there, fill up that hole nice. Hopefully that holds so I don't have to make a bigger wood patch. But that's what we got so far on that. And then on the other side, went ahead and coated the inside here with some epoxy. Probably can't really see in there too well, but that's inside the sponge in there. And we coated that with epoxy. We're going to let that dry up, and hopefully that'll put a nice water barrier there to keep that wood from getting any softer there. Unfortunately, this boat sat outside for a solid 5 years after it was built. You know, we kept it tarped, but it still gets water in it. But we're gonna make the repairs we gotta make. We got our block and our heads and our intake going to machine shop in the next week or two to get pressure tested, find out what's going on. We got another block getting prepared. because I suspect that the block was cracked is why we are getting oil in, or water in the oil, because there really doesn't seem to be any other reason. Everything looked good, gaskets all looked good, seals all looked good, taking the engine apart, we tore it down and everything looked okay. So there's no real reason for us to be getting water in the oil still. So rather than blowing up an engine like I thought we did, fortunately we saved all the expensive parts. I think we're going to be able to polish up the crank, and we'll be okay with that, and we'll try and get this back together and back running again. We are doing this on a budget. Unfortunately, we have not gotten rich yet, so I need everybody on YouTube to like and subscribe, notify, whatever, all the crap that everybody else says. But maybe I'll freaking start making some money off of YouTube too, because I don't know, racing is expensive and boat racing is obscenely expensive. You know, people wonder why there aren't more boats out there, but it's expensive. It's very expensive. And now with what's going on in the world, everything else is expensive as well. Not just racing, you know, everything in life is expensive. And boat racing apparently is more expensive than the rest. I've found out. But man, it is a lot of fun. It is, what a ride. It's a thrill unlike any other. Every time you strap yourself into this thing, it's basically like jumping out of an airplane. It's about the same as skydiving. You know, well, we're here now kind of thing. So it's a rush for sure, and I'm absolutely addicted to it. So let's get these videos, if I can ever figure out how to edit some of this shit, get these videos going out there, and we'll try and make some money and figure out how we're going to keep doing this, because now we have to. And this is the spot here we had to repair. This got real soft here. This is where our water outlet comes out for our cooling system. It's got a lay end fitting that just comes out of here and allows the water to come out after it goes through the engine. But we're gonna go ahead and finish sanding this one more time and sealing that off, and we'll get that ready to put the fitting back in there. Alright, yeah, there's one or two little low spots in there still. I'm going to go ahead and fill those with just a little bit more epoxy, just so that thing comes out pretty nice and flat. Yeah, it's pretty darn good though. And then we'll have to try and find some touch-up paint for this thing. It's this Dodge Stinger Yellow. We'll have to see if we can find some Stinger Yellow touch-up paint. She's getting to the point where she definitely needs it. It's pretty good though. There's a small spot there, a small spot there that's a little low. But that'll be no big deal to get that taken care of. Alright, before we go ahead and jump inside the cockpit and start doing some of that work, I wanted to go ahead and get this water outlet reattached to the boat here. We had some softwood here, so I went ahead and kind of cut that out, any of the soft spots, filled it in with a couple layers of resin and chopped strand mat, and then just a couple layers of resin with filler over that. Now I just got to put a 3/4 inch hole in here and put our water outlet here. All this is just a place for the water to come out. Our hose runs out like this into this AN fitting, and that's our cooling system. As it picks up water in the rudder, goes through the engine, cools the engine down, and then it needs to come out of the boat here. So that's all this is. It's very simple, but we just had some softwood here, so we went ahead and got that taken care of, so we didn't have any issues down the line with that. So we're going to go ahead and get some holes drilled, start out nice and small, go bigger and bigger as we go, just to avoid chipping this and causing any problems with that epoxy and resin there. And we'll just go ahead and get this remounted, and then we can jump in the cockpit and start knocking out some of the stuff that's most important to me, and that's driver comfort. Again, we're going to use a bunch of different drill bits here. Just keep going a little bigger at a time. I don't want to have any problems with this resin. I'm sure we can go a little quicker than this, but I'd really like to have this done in one shot with no issues. Go ahead and move these drill bits out to the side so I'm not reaching in front of the camera every 2 seconds here. Fortunately, in this spot, we got a porthole right here that I was able to get into to put a patch down on the inside as well. Whereas up front there, we have the tow hooks that we need to work on, and there's no portholes there. So we're gonna, unfortunately, this winter, we're probably gonna have to cut a hole here and on the sponson on the other side in the same spot, so we can get access to those tow hooks there. You might be surprised to find out, with all my amazing YouTube skills here, that I'm kind of learning as I go on a lot of this stuff. I know it's hard to believe, but I have used a drill before though. Believe it or not. Oh, I bet this damn thing don't fit. It don't. Shit. Ah. Alright, well. Give me a minute. Alright, so Travis doesn't have a drill that will fit a 1/2 inch drill bit either on the chuck size. So that project's going to be on hold until Monday or Tuesday when I can go back to work and get my bigger drill. And So for the rest of the evening, I guess we're gonna get to work on some of the cockpit stuff. When I get back to the house here, I'll kind of give you a little tour of the cockpit, so to speak. It's very simple. There's not a whole lot going on in there, but we got a couple things that we can do to make life a whole lot more pleasant while I'm inside that boat. And you know, I realized when I got strapped in there up in Gunnersville that I was very anxious going into it, and once I was actually driving, once I got vision kind of sorted out there and wasn't trying to see, and the cockpit wasn't filling with smoke and all that, but once I actually got to just drive the boat, I was so comfortable. And it's just a amazing feeling to be comfortable at speed like that. And I credit that a lot to riding the motorcycle. I rode a motorcycle for many years, and a lot of times just as fast as I could ride it. I'm not saying it's a wise thing or a safe thing or responsible thing. I'm just saying it's what I've done. And it kind of desensitizes you to speed. So once I was able to get in that boat and kind of be able to see, and just all I had to do was just drive that thing as fast as it could go, man, what a comforting feeling. I was at home. And there's a couple little things I noticed, like my right knee was kind of getting bounced into the side of the cockpit a little too much. It was leaving me a little bruised up at the end of it. So I want to put a little padding there, and the throttle pedal just isn't quite right. I'm not comfortable knowing that the thing's wide open. A couple times I had to kind of lift and reset my foot just to make sure that it's wide open. And while I'm doing that, you know, that's time that the boat's not going as fast as it can. And that's the whole thing about this, is we want to drive this thing absolutely as fast as it will go the entire time we're out there. So anytime I'm lifting off that throttle, it's costing us time. And I need to be 100% throttle the entire time we're out there. So we're going to see if we can figure out something to just, and that might just come with time in the seat as well, you know, but if there's something I could do to make that a little bit more reassuring to me, that I know that that boat is going as fast as it will go, then I'd like to do that. Gonna see about maybe trying to figure out some steering wheel options, maybe move the steering wheel past my knees a little bit further. It's unfortunately it's a tight fit in there, and I'm almost 6'1", so it's a little tough to get crammed in there. But we're gonna see what we can do about maybe moving the steering wheel. I got a smaller steering wheel that's got a 5-inch dish on it that kind of puts it out a little further. We may start trying to run that, see how that works. But we'll get right back into it. I'm gonna go cover up this hole that I just made without being able to finish, and we'll get into the cockpit and see what we can do there. Alright, so since our water outlet project didn't work out, we're going to go ahead and jump in the cockpit, see if we can get a little bit done tonight here. Quick kind of overview of it. It's really very basic, very simple. I got a foam seat back that goes right there. That's out right now just so I have a little bit more room working in here. But very simple cluster here. We got water temperature, RPMs, and oil pressure. Disconnect steering wheel right there. Down here we got our throttle pedal, and that's a pedal for the flap in the front of the boat. All that does is break up the airflow going underneath the air trap there, and kind of settles the front of the boat down a little bit. So we got some of this wiring's kind of hanging loose right now just because I had pulled all the radio wiring out of here while it sits. But big project for today, pretty simple. All we're going to do is, this is where my knee's been hitting the side of the cockpit here. So I'm going to put a piece of yoga mat here just to kind of put a little bit of padding there. The other thing that I wanted to do is also go ahead and trim out this more, because when I thought the boat was on fire and I tried to get out of there in a hurry, I struggled with getting this off of the canopy strap here. Just goes around that hook here, and I struggled a little bit with getting that out of there. I don't want to struggle if I have to get out of this boat quickly. I want everything to be intuitive. I want to be able to be out of here instantly if I need to be. So we're going to go ahead and open up that hole a little bit right there, try and make that a little safer. And I may just trim this whole pad back and just do this whole side with yoga mat here, because I really wasn't getting bounced around as much as I thought I was going to be. And a lot of that is because of that foam seat that we poured. It's a two-part foam that I sat in the boat, and my wife dumped foam into a garbage bag behind me, and it expanded around me as it dried up and set. So that really is very form-fitting and holds me extremely tight in this boat. I mean, I didn't move at all. So aside from my knee bouncing around it a little bit, we really had no problems with me moving. So I may just cut this thick padding out of here, put a little bit of yoga mat there, and I think that'll be more than enough. Again, we're going to kind of experiment with some steering wheel options, because unfortunately my knees are pretty much right here, and that's where the steering wheel is. So I'm hoping maybe that smaller steering wheel may kind of take care of some of those problems. And I'm going to jump in there and I'll kind of see if I can get a little video of how that throttle pedal is giving me problems. Okay, so I'm down here in the cockpit now, and I'm actually sitting significantly lower in here than I would with in race conditions. My seat brings me up a little bit, because as of right now my vision is pretty much even with that, and I like to see a little bit more than that. It's a little concerning when that's basically the bottom of my vision is there, or I'm sorry, like the mid-level of my vision is right there. But what I'm talking about this throttle pedal here is, to get full throttle I have to basically have my foot like that, and that's just a very awkward, very uncomfortable position. So what I've been doing is I was just kind of going in off the side like that and running it like that. But again, it's not a very natural position to be in, and so I'm not sure if I'm gonna try and maybe just pull out this I got a little piece of metal here, really just as a kickdown plate, so if the throttle ever sticks I can just jam my foot into that and put the throttle back. And I'm not sure that that's helping, and I may end up just going with an entirely different throttle pedal assembly. I may have to. I got another one of these Speedway pedals like that on the left, and it may be a better option to try and just do something like that where I can just kind of rock the whole thing. But even that's not terribly comfortable, and I need to be able to know that I'm at 100% throttle when I'm out there. And I mean, I can tell by looking at the tachometer as well, but I don't want to have to look down to know that I'm at 100% throttle. You know, I just want to be able to friggin' mat it and go. And so, you know, having to kind of move and that's the other thing too, is I'm kind of, with my legs, I have to keep my knees out like that to get around the steering wheel. So, you know, it looks a little bit more spacious in here without my seat back in here. That moves me a little forward. But it's just there's not a very comfortable position here. So I was kind of just wedging my foot in there like that, and the flat pedal is just awkward. So hopefully I can try and figure something out now. I'm not 100% sure really what I'm going to do yet with that, but that's what the problem that we're going to be trying to address. And we'll get back at it. And while I'm sitting in the cockpit here, I figured I'd go ahead and kind of demonstrate the problem I had at Guntersville with vision. And right now you can kind of see video clarity of just the dash in here. But then you look out here and you can see all the haze and the small scratches and everything that are in this bubble. Well, when I got the sunlight coming at me, it was absolutely blinding. I might as well have closed my eyes. I couldn't see a darn thing. And then when I had smoke filling up the cockpit as well, because of the header paint burning off, that had nowhere to really go with the bubble closed, and there wasn't quite enough ventilation coming through here to clear it out, because we were smoking up pretty good in here. So between the glare coming from the sun on the bubble and then the cockpit filling up with smoke, it was scary. I really, it's not a way that I could drive the boat. And it was unfortunate that I lost both test sessions because of that. Really kind of dampened what I was hoping to do that weekend. But we're gonna go ahead and we got some aircraft bubble cleaner and polisher, compound and polisher. We're gonna go ahead and clean up that bubble real clear, get it absolutely as best as we can. And if we still have problems with it, we're gonna either replace it or do something differently. But just figured I would go ahead and show that while I'm sitting in the boat here, because it's hot and it's full of mosquitoes, and I don't want to get back in here if I don't have to. Alright, and just so you kind of have an idea of what I'm talking about with these rescue pins, these rubber bands here, rubber cords, are inside of the cockpit, and when I close the bubble, that cord goes around this pin inside there. Then if I flip over, if I'm unconscious, rescue can come and just pull this pin out and the cockpit will come up. Unfortunately, with that padding in there like it was, I had a hard time getting this cord off of the pin when I thought the boat was on fire and I was in a hurry to get out of it. It's very concerning that I couldn't get out of the boat as quick as I would like. It wasn't terribly long, but to me it felt like an eternity. So I definitely want to make that an easier fix there. Alright, well, it's getting dark. The kid is going crazy and I'm getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, so we're probably going to finish the rest of this